Good Sunday evening, South Carolina weather watchers. Hopefully, you had a fantastic Sunday. I am your meteorologist, Jess Peterson, and let's go in and talk about the weather for your Sunday evening going into your future. We have a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We're going to be here for a good minute as we will be continuing to talk about that convection that will continue as we move through the days this week. It will start off relatively nice, but then it will rise as we get more and more to this weekend. We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about the flood risks that will continue as it pretty much is just going to be that minimal flash flood threat, that isolated flash flooding, that minor flooding that we have been seeing. And then also we're going to talk about Hurricane Aaron, Major Hurricane Aaron, and then also the area behind it as well, and what Aaron will bring us in terms of impacts and what impacts we can see from Aaron inside of South Carolina. So that's the main thing. Well, the second main thing, because the actual main thing is the forecast for this week. Yes, we will be talking about the forecast for this week for the week of August the 17th going into August the 23rd. So we will be talking about the forecast for this week. But before we get to that, we obviously got to talk about what's going on throughout the entire state, and then we talk about what's going on in the U.S. currently. We do have, like a little isolated downpour up here, right here along that South Carolina, North Carolina border near River Falls and Gap Creek. But other than that, everyone else is relatively dry, if not completely dry. As we go on now, let's look at what's going on throughout the entire U.S. We have rainfall going on from Florida to Georgia to Louisiana to Arkansas, Mississippi, Texas, going into New Mexico, and even Oklahoma getting in on some of that severe weather. I mean, we have severe weather going from Oklahoma to Kansas to Nebraska to Montana to Minnesota, a tornado warning in Minnesota, severe weather even going up into Canada as well, rainfall even spanning all the way to the northeast and the mid-Atlantic. So a good amount of rainfall and a good amount of activity going on right now. As we go in and look at what's going on in terms of cloud cover, some very low cloud cover for now. You have some in the upstate, you have some in the low country, but for the most part, most of us are actually dry. 4-hour cloud cover for the future as we go in and push this forward. You can see that cloud cover will kind of remain. You can see kind of like in the low country a little bit. See it, kind of a bit inside of the upstate a little bit. And as we continue moving into tomorrow morning to 7 o'clock in the morning, you can actually see some fog activity going on, especially in the low country. But as you continue to move throughout the day, going into the afternoon, that fog obviously goes away. And then just some relatively nice sunny skies take over for tomorrow. So it's looking like we're not going to see too much cloud activity tomorrow. Now for our current temperatures, 83 in Columbia as well as 82 in Lugoff, 82 in Sumter as well as 81 in Orangeburg, 79 in Somerville and 77 in Georgetown, 79 in Maryland as well as 80 inside of Myrtle Beach, 80 also inside of Charleston, and 82 in Aiken, 85 in Greenwood, as well as 82 inside of Newberry. If we move up here towards the upstate, 83 in Spartanburg and 79 in Greenville, 81 in Clemson and Anderson, as well as 83 in Gaffney. Now for your low temperatures for tonight, 72 in Greenville and Spartanburg, as well as 72 in Rock Hill, 73 in Columbia and 72 in Orangeburg, 70 in Walterboro and 74 in Charleston, 70 in Moncks Corner and even 71 in Georgetown, 73 in Myrtle Beach and 72 in Dillon, 75 inside of Hilton Head Island, and some other regions mainly staying inside of that low to mid 70 mark. As we go on and continue into our rainfall for tonight, good amount of rainfall as possible, from 100th of an inch to a 10th of an inch from Columbia over to Terrell, over to Florence, maybe Dillon, Camden included in there. And then a 10th of an inch to a quarter of an inch possible for Spartanburg going into Rock Hill. And then there is also that small isolated chance that somebody may potentially even get up to an inch of rain as we move through tonight. That is for tonight going into tomorrow night. For the crazy score tonight, we are at a 17. We are at a 17 for tonight, as there is just not much going on. We have that fog threat. It's going to be warm. But other than that, we're not really going to see too much in terms of active activity. Going into the SPC outlook, starting off tonight, we do in fact have a chance for thunderstorms still as we move through the nighttime tonight. and that will go for places like inside the upstate for Greenville, Spartanburg, and Anderson. Going into the low country goes from Allendale County down into Hilton Head and the Tri-County region, Dorchester, Berkeley, and Charleston County. Everyone else, though, that's not inside of the light green, you do not have a chance for thunderstorms tonight. But tomorrow, more people will be inside of that risk that goes all the way from, again, the eastern low country going into the entire state of South Carolina as we move through tonight. Now, again, or tomorrow. Now, again, if you look into the non-shaded region, that is no threat for any sort of thunderstorm activity. The ingredients aren't there. And then for Tuesday, the entire state of South Carolina has a chance for a thunderstorm on Tuesday, August the 19th. Now, these boundaries can change, but this is just what we have for right now. For excessive rainfall, pretty much the same thing that we saw for day one in terms of that SPC outlook for tonight. Tonight, we have a minor risk of flooding that goes for the low country, that goes up there for the upstate as well. And that brings a 5% chance of that flash flooding. And if you go into tomorrow we do in fact have another minor risk of flooding or isolated flash flooding that's possible from the upstate down into the Midlands, goes inside of the PD and the Grand Strand from Myrtle Beach all the way over to Seneca and Central and Anderson and Clemson, South Carolina. All these places have a threat for some minor flooding tomorrow. Now for day 3, which this is Tuesday, minor flooding or isolated flash flooding up here possible. Goes from Landrum down through Greenville, down through Seneca, Anderson, Iva, South Carolina. Day 4, this is Wednesday. Wednesday takes up kind of like this top region right here, which if you did not listen to my evening forecast update yesterday, I said that there was a chance that could maybe spread. You know, obviously it was 5 days out. They changed the boundaries of these a lot. And you can see it's already starting to enter the tip part of the tri-state border between Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So, seems to be like they're trying to expand it. Where will it be at day 1? What we're just going to have to wait and see. And then day 5, this is Thursday, we have a little threat up there. Again, mainly inside that same region, but over near like Long Creek, South Carolina, just to the west of Westminster and Seneca. But that's it for excessive rainfall. Again, this is tonight. This is tomorrow. This is Tuesday. This is Wednesday. And this is Thursday right here. So, minor flooding kind of occurring here and there throughout the state. Really just matters on where you are. So let's go in and look at the models now. So we're going to start off here at 9 o'clock p.m. 9 o'clock p.m. Rainfall activity not really expected as we move through the nighttime tonight. You can see, you know, some maybe trying to get into the state a little bit. But if any does occur, it would be isolated and it probably wouldn't be too heavy. Maybe at most a moderate. But you're not really getting any higher than that. Once you get to around 7, 8, 9, 10, even 11 to 12 p.m. into tomorrow morning, going into tomorrow afternoon pretty much, you're not seeing any sort of rainfall either. It's staying relatively dry as we start off the day tomorrow. And if you go into like tomorrow afternoon, going even longer into the short-term future, you can see that a lot of rainfall starts to pop up. That scattered shower and thunderstorm activity starts to go on by around 5, as early as 4, going into around 5, 6, 7, 8 p.m. But you're not seeing anything too widespread. You're not seeing anything too widespread. Even as you go through around to 12 o'clock in the morning, some shower thunderstorm activity may be going on in the upstate, going on in the Midlands a little bit. But by the time you get to around 3, 4, 5 a.m. on that Tuesday morning, you're not really seeing a whole lot. Yes, you do have some rainfall going on, maybe inside of the eastern PD region, eastern Grand Strand region. But it's not as widespread as we have been seeing, even as we continue into the afternoon hours of August the 19th, which is still Tuesday. You start to see some more shower activity start to pop up, but a lot of that's just coming from the coast and trying to push into that Grand Strand PD region some more. So from pretty much just a summary standpoint, tomorrow, at least for the start, it looks relatively nice, but as you go more into the evening, that shower and thunderstorm activity starts to get up a little bit, but not too widespread. As you go into the overnight again for tomorrow night, still looks drier, but there still will be some rainfall going on. And then as you continue into Tuesday, again, doesn't start off too bad, but then by the time we get to the afternoon and evening, we'll see how that fares. So let's go on and talk about our long term. So you can see all this rainfall going on to the south and east of us, or on the bottom right side of your screen. That is Aaron. And that's going to move its way out of here. It's going to cause us some rip currents, going to cause us some high surf, but that's pretty much all Aaron's going to cause. If we continue to push this forward, active activity starts to pull up on around August the 21st, going to August the 22nd and the 23rd. And that is actually due to a cold front. If you go to the dew points right here, you can see the cold front kind of moving in right behind that system. And we have this cold front moving in by around Saturday night, Sunday-ish of next week. And that will bring our dew points down. That will bring our temperatures down, obviously, because it's a cold front. But continuing, if we go on back a little bit more, back to August the 22nd where we just were, that active activity again just goes on due to that cold front there. And then we start to receive some, some normal activity again after that storm system moves out. And you think, okay, well, everything's fine. Everything's fine, seems like we're going to get into another dry period. Well, the tropics obviously thinks not, because according to this model run, again, one model run, and it's still 11 days out, it shows a good old hurricane getting into the coast of South Carolina. Again, 11 days out, so nobody needs to be panicking. Nobody needs to be texting your friends and family that there's a hurricane that's going to be popping up on August the 28th, because that's not what's going to happen, at least yet, that we know of. It's a possibility, but it is not set in stone. This is, again, one model run. If we go and look at the one 6 hours ago, that one, it had it down here in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and causing some impacts down there. If you even go 6 hours before that, it had it down here like in Cuba. So, again, it's all over the place. It is all over the place, and this is just one model run here. But this would definitely cause us a lot of rainfall if it was to occur. A lot of rainfall, obviously those hurricane force winds would move through, and then it would get out of our hair, and it would kind of just be calm after that for the rest of August for the most part. Yes, you will still have some rainfall activity because it's summer still, but but it's just your regular activity. And once we get really to around August the 30th, we really can't go any further in terms of in-depth because that is over 300 hours out, but it looks a lot drier. It does look a lot drier as we move into early September, so that's a good sign, at least. But that's all for the long-term future, though. I do want to go on now and talk about our week forecast. Before we go and talk about the tropics, let's go and talk about the week. Starting off with our temperatures first, we will be above average in terms of temperatures this week. Again, we will be above average in terms of temperatures this week. And if we go into precipitation, we will be below average in terms of precipitation. If you are inside the Midlands going down towards the coastal regions, the upstate does actually have just a normal risk. No above average, no below average precipitation, all kind of being in that normal trend. But everyone else has a below average precipitation total, which is not good for the drought monitor. Obviously, you can see that we were doing good. We're doing great right now in terms of the drought monitor, as there is indeed no drought, not even an abnormally dry going on throughout the state. So, would absolutely hate to see some abnormally dry start to pop up, but if it pops up, we will, obviously wish for some more rainfall. But we definitely need the rainfall to sustain it, though. But let's go on and talk and look at the temperature anomalies real quick. So this is the temperature anomalies right here. We're going to start off with today, and we're going to move our way through for this week. So starting off here, Sunday night, and look up here at South Carolina. Starting off here Sunday night, you can see that for the most part it stays kind of just this battle zone. You got cold air coming in, you have warm air kind of trying to infiltrate as well as we just go through this week, and so that's why it's kind of kind of hard to just say, oh, will it be above average or will it be below average? It also matters on the time of day as well. Like, look on August the 22nd, due to a lot of rainfall as well. Rainfall also aids in this because if you have a bunch of rainfall, you have some cloud cover that will bring your temperatures down. And if one part's sunny and one part is cloudy and rainy, that will change it as well. So rainfall also has a huge impact with these temperature anomalies as well. And you can see the cold front kind of starting to make its way through, especially up there like in Tennessee. You can see it up here in Kentucky on around like August the 24th. That will move its way down, and you can see that cold air really starts to move in August the 26th and the 27th. And then that right there, that's the hurricane that we just saw move its way on shore. And just pretty much, I mean, just cooler than average temperatures to round up our August. But after that storm passes, though, it starts to get more sunny. And so that brings out those warmer than average temperatures again. So if you want a cool down, or if you're rooting for a cool down, you're going to get one soon, probably in about like the next 10 days or so. So the next 10, 11 days, maybe even earlier, maybe even early, but for sure, it will be like all around like August the 26th to 27th, like the next 8 to 12 days or so. There will be a cool down here, and we will have some cooler temperatures. And speaking of, we can't really say anything in terms of exact, but you can see for sure, like low temperatures going down and high temperatures getting only into the 60s, but we probably need to choose another day real quick. So I'm going to go a bit further, but you can see, high temperatures for the most part getting into like those 70s, and because the hurricanes here, that kind of messes it up a lot. So, you're going to have to look at a day like this, maybe. Now, in terms of it being cooler, that does not mean we're going to have temperatures down in the 70s or the 60s for high temperatures or anything like that. It just matters that it will be at least a little below average. Like, for example, up there in the upstate, a high temperature may be around 79, or in the Midlands might be at 84. That is a huge decrease from what we're seeing now, to where a high temperature for, I believe, today was around in the 90s. So it might be small, it's still summertime, but it's something still to look forward to. Now that that is out of the way, I do want to talk about as well for the next 7 days about how much rainfall we could receive as we move through this week. So this is obviously the 7-day precipitation model in terms of inches from the Weather Prediction Center. It says for the most part, most people will get at least an inch or two of rainfall. And that is obviously without any sort of thunderstorm activity, because we cannot predict exact thunderstorm activity and intensity. We really can only just say what the models tell us. And for the most part, it says everyone will at least get an inch or two of rainfall. So that's it for our forecast for this week. Hopefully that was concise enough, and if you have any questions, you can still ask them. But for now, that's all that I'm going to say there. Let's go and talk about the tropics now, because we have a couple of things to talk about. Obviously, Erin is still here. It's not gone away. It's still a major hurricane, 125 miles per hour. Bands of heavy rainfall will continue across portions of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands through tonight, but are expected to diminish by Monday. Locally, considerable flash and urban flooding along with mudslides and landslides are possible. Tropical storm conditions are expected in the Turks and Caicos Islands and in the southeastern Bahamas region tonight and Monday. Erin is also expected to produce life-threatening surf and rip currents along the beaches of the Bahamas, much of the east coast of the United States, Bermuda, and Atlantic Canada during the next several days. Interests along the outer banks of North Carolina, Bermuda should monitor the progress of Erin, as there is a risk of strong winds associated with the outer rain bands during the middle part of this week. So I was talking about North Carolina yesterday, at least the outer band portion, and you can see that they actually are kind of inside that cone a little bit of that tropical storm force winds. I mean, it's only like a 10 to 20% chance of receiving tropical storm force winds, but as we get closer and closer, that risk might go up more and more. But we still got to get to midweek for them to see. But this is what the cone looks like right now. It was the last update at 8 o'clock p.m. And you can see that pretty much this thing will take that curve. At this point, there is no threat for this to really make any sort of landfall inside of South Carolina or North Carolina, just in general. So we can pretty much cross that out. Yeah, there's nothing really. I mean, at least for us, we're not really gonna see even like any like tropical storm, hurricane force winds, or you know, we will see minor flooding, but that probably won't even be from Aaron. So for the most part, I think that the most thing that, or the worst thing that Aaron will bring to us will be will be along the coastal regions, because we have that rip current and high surf risk. Now, as we move through, today and tonight, you're not really seeing a whole bunch, but as we go into tomorrow, you can see that that threat for rip currents actually goes up a lot more. If you are, for example, from the coastal low country that goes from Charleston County all the way down towards the South Carolina Georgia border, there's a moderate risk of rip currents. And then from Myrtle Beach, that goes from Myrtle's Inlet all the way up to North Myrtle Beach, includes Myrtle Beach, there's a high risk of rip currents. And then from North Myrtle Beach up into the South Carolina North Carolina border, there's another moderate risk. So for the most part, and again, this will extend more and more as we continue through the week, but for now, it's looking like that we will have some rip currents as early as tomorrow. That's pretty much all in terms of the rip currents for now, though we'll talk about the rest of them as we go later into the week, though. And in terms of everything else for Aaron, we can go in and look at the models and see what they say, but it's not a whole bunch, just to kind of reinforce. Starting off right here, you can see the hurricane models have it completely curving out. They're in very much of agreement right now. There's not going to be there's not going to be a threat for this thing to even get too close to us to where it would cause tropical storm or hurricane force conditions. The GFS, same thing. It's not going to cause any sort of tropical storm conditions for us. Same thing with the GEPS and the Euro. Says the exact same thing. And then in terms of the intensity guidance, they're obviously it's going to make that trip back up into a category 4 as we go later into tomorrow, maybe even as early as late tonight tomorrow. But then it will start to gradually go down more and more and more until it gets to a tropical storm. So for now, I will say, unless you're in other areas like Bermuda or the Outer Banks of North Carolina or the southern Bahamas, or even down there, I believe the Turks and Caicos Islands as well, those are pretty much the only areas that will really receive that hurricane/tropical storm force conditions. But so that's pretty much all I have to say for Aaron. Again, if Aaron was coming towards us, I would go more in depth, but you can see it's not going to really cause us any issues except along the coastal regions, though. But let's talk about the other area, because this is the other area that I'm not going to say concerned, but I will say that I am watching for and being aware for. This is disturbance 2 over here. It says It says a tropical wave located near the Cabo Verde Islands is producing disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity. Some gradual development of the system is possible during the latter half of this week, and a tropical depression could form later this week or next weekend, while the system moves west to west-northwest at 15 to 20 miles per hour, approaching the northeastern Caribbean Sea or the southwestern Atlantic. So there's no threat for this forming over the next 48 hours, but a 40% chance of forming over the next 7 days. So the low pressure area, or the tropical wave / low pressure area is here. It just has to move into this area now, and we're just waiting for it to move into this area now. Where will this hit? We don't know. When will it hit? We don't know. How will it hit? We don't know. When will it form into a tropical depression? We won't even know if it forms to that. It says that a tropical depression could form, so that's not even a definite yes, it will form. So we just got to wait to see if this thing even forms or not. So that's all that I have to say for that. There is ensembles for it, but the ensembles are kind of like all over the place. You have some in the Gulf, you have some near Florida, you have some near South Carolina, you have some taking kind of like the same path that Aaron took, kind of like out to sea before it made impact. So not really a whole lot's going to be done by doing that, by showing that, because it's just going to be the same thing. And then you also have this one out here, Disturbance 1. This has no threat to form. Upper level winds are unfavorable and development is no longer expected. So that will most likely go away either by the next update, like tonight, or through tomorrow. This will go away. But that's all that there is for the tropics. So hopefully, again, like I said, same thing with the week forecast update. Hopefully that was informative enough. But now that we're done with that, let's go on right now and talk with the audience. If you are a part of the audience, you can by joining us at 9. Yes, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. Starting off, let's see if I can get it right here. Mr. Chris says, "Good evening, everyone. Hope y'all's day was good. My day was great. Thanks so much for asking." Mr. Chris then also says, "Remember to hit the like button and the subscribe button if you have not already, and also share." That is a great thing that you said that, because we have had 33 people tune in tonight. I have no idea why we only have 7 likes. I know. I'm shocked as well. I'm absolutely shocked why we only have 7 likes and we've had 33 people tune in. That is 26 people. That is 26 people that just decided to tune in but not hit the like button. So if you're a part of that 26 that have not hit the like button, go on and do so right now, because it's free. You can change your mind if you ever want to, and it just helps me out. Trail says, "Greetings, everyone. Greetings to you." Ms. Tolliver says, "Good evening. Decent day at the house. Very hot and humid, though. The pond is doing well, and we have had 2 new visitors. Hope you got the pictures." I did see them. I did see the picture that you sent. Mr. Anthony also says, "Good evening, everyone." Good evening to you. Mr. Tolliver then says, "Do you think Hurricane Air will completely miss the East Coast?" It probably won't completely miss. Again, we were talking about the Outer Banks of North Carolina. They have a chance to receive some tropical storm force winds, so no. For right now, I mean, it's still inconclusive, but there's still like that 10 to 20% chance that it will cause that tropical storm force winds up into the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So for right now, we don't know. We're just gonna have to wait like a couple more days to really get the models kind of more adjusted to, and just to see how in the world it goes up into North Carolina. So I don't think it will completely miss it. My Aunt Lula then says, "Good evening, everyone." Good evening to you. Thad says, "Good evening, Cousin Joseph. I trust all was well. All was well. It was yet another hot one here. I had to change my clothes 2 times. Well, first off, thank you so much for that weather update over there. And in terms of it just being hot, I mean, I can tell. I believe the high temperature that I told you yesterday for San Antonio, at least for tomorrow, it's 101. I believe yesterday I said it was going to be around 100. If you did send your thermometer picture, we're going to show that, so if we see how really hot it was. Mr. Chris said, "That's awesome for a crazy score." It is, down to a 17. And then my Aunt Lula then says, "We had a hot day and no precipitation." Thank you so much for that weather update as well. And that's all that we have in terms of the chat for tonight. So you can still leave a chat if you want to. You just have to go on and just type it up. But let's go and talk about the 4 locations outside of South Carolina, that being San Antonio, Raleigh, and Philadelphia. Again, that being San Antonio, Raleigh, and Philadelphia. And Duncan. I don't know why in the world I'm still forgetting about Duncan sometimes, but San Antonio, Raleigh, Philadelphia, and Duncan, Oklahoma. Starting off with San Antonio first, with low temperatures tonight at 78, high temperatures tomorrow at 101, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 79. There is no precipitation expected at all through today, tonight, and tomorrow. But for severe weather, no severe weather is expected. No severe weather is expected at all. And if we go into your excessive rainfall, there is no threat for any sort of excessive rainfall for the next 4 days. But Thursday Some minor flooding is possible on Thursday. That could change. That's 5 days out, so things can change there. Raleigh with low temperatures tonight 73, high temperatures tomorrow at 92, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 73. No precipitation tonight, but a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow and tomorrow night as well. For excessive rainfall, you do have some minor flooding that's possible on Monday. So just some minor flooding possible tomorrow, and that's pretty much all. For severe weather, you do not have a threat for severe weather. Philadelphia being the third location with low temperatures tonight 68, high temperatures tomorrow at 74, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 65. Chance of thunderstorms tonight, and a slight chance of showers tomorrow during the day and tomorrow night as well. There is no severe weather that is expected, and in terms of excessive rainfall, you do have a chance for some minor flooding tonight, but after that, that's it. And then for Duncan, Oklahoma being the last location, with low temperatures tonight 75, high temperatures tomorrow at 97, and low temperatures tomorrow night at 75. No precipitation tonight or tomorrow night, but tomorrow during the day, slight chance of thunderstorms there. But for severe weather, no severe weather is expected. And for excessive rainfall, no excessive rainfall is expected either. So that's it for those 4 locations. So what's going on right now throughout the entire U.S. just weather news-wise? Obviously, Hurricane Erin continues to track westward, with its outer bands bringing heavy rainfall and gusty winds for Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Life-threatening surf and rip currents are occurring and will spread across the Atlantic coast this week. Meanwhile, heavy rainfall and flooding is possible as you move through the upper Midwest through Monday. Heat risk continues for the Mississippi Valley and going into Tennessee, Alabama, Illinois, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas, and even an excessive heat watch out down there for Southern California and Arizona. And that's pretty much all that we have that's, really important. You do have a fire risk up there for Idaho, but that's pretty much the only thing there. So let's go on and look at the pictures that we got from yesterday and today, because we did have some. We did have some pictures. For some reason, I cannot preview this one, so let me see if I can go on and download it real quick. Is this a video? No, that's not. Well, yes, this is a video. This is a video. Okay. So this was a video right here from my cousin Thad. Video for some reason. Oh, I paused it. That's why. Okay. So yeah, you can see the rainfall going on here at his yard, which obviously is a great thing because he is inside of a drought right now. He is inside of a drought right now. So that is great. But now we also do have this picture right here. This is from Mr. Pond, and then she also has some deer going on in background. So that is great to see. Thank you so much. If you want to go on and send in a picture, you can 60@gmail.com. Again, that is scweather3@gmail.com. And so that's pretty much all that I have to say here. Let me go and check out the chat one more time. Mr. Chris then says, if the next storm forms, what will the name be? The next storm that forms would be Ferdinand, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Ferdinand would be the next name after Erin. It would be Ferdinand. Let me go ahead and check that real quick before I say it, because I don't want to sit here and lie real quick. But the next tropical name, if you want to look at the tropical names for 2025, it is Fernand. So not Ferdinand, but Fernand would be the next name. So that's just what it is for now. And then obviously after that, we have Gabrielle, we have Berto, you have Imelda, Jerry, Karen, Lorenzo, Melissa, Nestor, Olga, Pablo. Those names are all next. So that's pretty much all I have to say. If you did enjoy the forecast tonight, make sure you go and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, share with all the people that you know. Again, we are trying to get to 600 subscribers. We're at 575. So hold on, let's give it. Oh, I closed out my thing. Hold on, real quick. We're gonna get that back up real quick. Because we have officially made it to 575 subscribers. That is the 3/4 of a way goal. We made it all the way to 575 subscribers, so thank you so much for whoever that was that just subscribed for tonight, because you just pushed us to 3/4 of the way there. 25 subscribers more to go. 25. That is all that we have, and we will be at 600 subscribers. Just 25. Just 25. And then we'll be at 600, and then we'll have our little celebration, and then we will go on and continue on from there. But that is all that I have to say for tonight. Make sure that you have a fantastic rest of your Sunday evening, and then also fantastic rest of your week. I will be back tomorrow morning with your Monday morning forecast update. Everyone have a fantastic rest of your Sunday and your week.